Welcome back to the Talkin Chop podcast presented by the folks over at Chief of Staff KC. This week we're joined by our good friend Jared Kenealy, Chief Development Officer over at Asset Management Group. Jared, thanks for being with us this week. How's your week going so far?
Week's going all right. Rough start to it with the loss, but very happy with where it's starting. So where the rest of it's going.
Awesome. Well, the Chiefs dropped their first game of the season to the Las Vegas Raiders 40-32. That's always a heartbreaker.
Why the Raiders?
I know,
Why
man.
the Raiders?
Actually, it was Mahomes' first loss by more than 7 points of his career. The Chiefs D just couldn't hold down the Raiders offense, which is not what we really expected to happen after that performance last week. And they kind of beat themselves on offense with some really bad penalties. But we'll get into all of our takes on the loss, plus our fantasy picks of the week and our Week 6 preview against the Bills next Monday night. But first, we're bringing you our positions of the week brought to you by Chief of Staff KC. We're your local trusted talent scouts, and we'll find you the best accounting and finance, admin, operations, HR, sales, marketing, and admin candidates Kansas City has to offer. Lucas, what do you got for us this week?
All right, we've got a new one. It's actually a position open due to growth. I filled the position prior, and the person that's still in that role is absolutely killing it. She's loving it, and so I will vouch for this company with benefits, compensation, all of it aligns to make it a really competitive package. Now, as far as to make sure you're qualified for the position, 2 to 5 years of experience in a high-volume accounts payable processing position, specifically construction, manufacturing, distribution, any of those industries would correlate. But even if you're outside that, please give me a call. We'll see if it lines up. You know, the biggest thing here is be location in Johnson County, and you're really going to need to kind of fit culturally, and your personality is going to need to mesh well with this team. So we'll kind of discuss more what that looks like, and if you'd be a good fit at your earliest convenience, give me a shout.
Awesome. And then I'm going back to the sales engineers that I had brought up. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but we have positions open in both Kansas City as well as Springfield, Missouri. They're both entry-level and experienced engineers. We have multiple positions open. This company's hiring like crazy, and they're doing a really good job of growing right now. So any degree in engineering, any experience within engineering, and someone who's outgoing, good with building relationships and communication skills is really what we're looking for on that. Really low barrier of entry to get an interview with this company. So give us a call if you're still in the job market on the engineering side of things. But those are our positions of the week brought to you by Chief of Staff KC.
All right, talking shop a little bit, Jared. So I've known you for quite some time now, dating back to junior high days, and you taught me a little bit in class, and so now we're here, we're talking business, and you've had this awesome story of transitioning from the teaching world to the business world. That can be hard for a lot of people, but you've clearly made it look fairly easy throughout the years. You told me a few stories, and I'd love for you to share, with us your career transition.
Yeah. So went to Northwest, was a teacher, very much to, knowing it wasn't a secret. I was a teacher to be a coach.
Yep.
I believe sports to be transformational and coaching to be transformational. And I loved teaching, and I grew to love it and did it for 11 years. But my wife was a teacher too. And by the time we were done with our 2 kids, and she was staying home because her salary was really only covering childcare for 2 kids.
Sure.
Family of 4 on a teacher's salary was going well and could have kept going. But I had a moment. Lots of times change is forced upon you. Mm-hmm. And when my head coach left, I had a chance to go with him. I had a chance to take a different role with the new staff. I had a chance to go to a new school and be a head coach. And so I just emailed some friends and said, hey, if I ever left education, this would be the time. I'm starting to say no to my kids a little more often. I'm starting to see a little bit of where my passion might be hurting some opportunities for my family.
Sure.
And as a teacher, you have this real fear of, we joke, but we call it the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear the joke, those who can't teach. And so in your head, you not sure you have value. Right. And so I emailed 10 friends and said, hey, I think I have a skill set that might be marketable. I don't know what's out there. And it was a huge moment for me. I was 32, and I got back 7 job offers. And
Wow.
They all said the same thing. They all said, you don't know squat about tech, about recruiting, about all these types of things. But you have a character and energy level that will translate, and I can teach you the business. I can't teach your energy and your focus and your character. And I was like, holy crap. And my wife did a great job. She crossed off 5 names. And she said, you can't follow those people. She said, you can follow these 2 people. And those are the 2 that I reached out to and said, okay, what's the next steps? One was an event production company here in Kansas City, and the other one was where I'm at, Asset Management Group. But at the time, they wanted me to be a property manager. And the night before the interview, I looked into property management finally, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's what I want to do. And I called my friend at 10 o'clock at night and said, no, I don't think that's what I want to do. He said, I still want you to meet my boss. Okay. And my friend is a ride or die friend, stood up at my wedding. He's now the COO of Asset Management Group. And he stuck his neck out for me because he made me interview with the owner without me wanting the job, because he said, Jared's our people. We want Jared here. Sure. And at the moment, Zach, the owner of the company, made up the job. He said, you don't know it yet, but you're a business development guy. Okay. I turned him down again, and I went home and I Googled the word. Didn't know what it was. Sat around with the teachers the next day and told them, hey, I think I just drink coffee and develop business, but I was told don't sell. I'm like the old about to retire teacher's like, that's a made up job. That guy, you're probably going to jail. It's like a Bernie Madoff thing. And it was because our world is so small. Right. And fast forward, ended up getting a really cool opportunity. Got to sit at the right hand of the two guys who run the company for a long time, and just kind of hopped on a rocket ship. They were already going, and then I got to kind of be the face of that rocket ship. Sure. I got to be a part of that, but I'm kind of the walking billboard for our company. And then we've grown that. So really, who do you know? Yeah. And Josh and I we'd been friends for 11 years, for longer than that, but for 11 years, we saw each other maybe once a quarter. Sure. But he stuck his neck out for me when it mattered, and that's how I got the job. And I'm a firm believer in relationships. Yeah. So. Well, and you started out in 2017, according to LinkedIn, in strategic partnerships type of title. Mm-hmm. Then you've worked yourself into CDO, Chief Development Officer. Yep. Has anything transpired over that period of time? What your duties have they changed? Your responsibilities have they changed? What did that look like? Yeah, I would say similar to Josh. I met Chris Binkley. Chris Binkley was looking to learn a little bit about real estate. Thought he might want to get into that. Was changing jobs. And at the talk, it was just me helping him. Mm-hmm. And I left and I called Josh and Zach. And I was like, hey, we need to hire this guy. And they were like, for what? We don't have a job open. I was like, we just need to hire him. And I was like, for my job. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I'll just be two of us. And then they came back and like, hey, you need to build a team anyway. Okay. And there's a big thing, right? When I'm out there meeting people, if you meet people, but people like Jared, but they don't know AMG, and AMG is operating, because we're operators, we're not out there in front of people a lot. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to have another one that they're like, oh, I ran into Chris at something else. And then they're like, oh, the story does jive. That company is what it is. There's two out there. Now we've got Katie in our office, and I'm trying to get my COO out in front of people, my CFO out in front of people, because I think our story sells. Yeah, no, I agree. Real quick, what do you look for in potential partners? What do you look for? Characteristics, traits, and how do you go about creating those connections? Yeah, transparency and really strong communication. Business is hard. People mess up. Own when you mess up. We're going to own when we mess up. Clearly communicate it. Don't hide it. Say it the minute it happens. Offer what's going on. We're going to do the same thing. Property management and real estate is full of really hard things. And when people are also trying to cover it up or blame game, it just makes everything way more complicated. So transparent, consistent communication, honest feedback, and we can work with you forever. Yeah, that's awesome.
So ever since we met last year, I've always kind of admired your approach to business, and I appreciate you kind of sharing that. But to me, like where we found really good common ground is just in our kind of approach to connecting people, and really just kind of going about that in a genuine way. I've always admired the way you kind of go about that. And a lot of times when you set up meetings with people, there really isn't like a goal in mind. It's just, hey, you're the right type of people that would enjoy each other's company. And a lot of times, a lot of good business comes out of that. So what, I guess my question for you is like, what advice do you have to young people in terms of them getting out and networking and connecting?
I think you hit on it, right? And it's hard. It's getting harder and harder as I have more responsibility. But no first meeting is a bad first meeting if you have an open head and an open heart, and if you're transparent and know how to talk to people. Right. Cast your net wide. Meet people, because there's a million different things that you're looking for, not just a role, not just a certain type of leader, not just and the more people who know what you're looking for and the more people who know who you are, the more people have your name on your lips. On their lips, and you get more and more opportunities. And the truth is, it's just fun. It's rewarding. We were built to be relational. Humans seek interaction, and the more you do it, you will be fueled. And I get that some people can wear them out, but you will find different fuel and different interactions. and more people will know what you're looking for, know who you are, and they'll trumpet what you need too.
Right.
It's so fun to meet anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
There's no bad meeting.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other thing that we had talked about not too long ago is that you kind of enjoy being more of a behind the scenes guy. Yet you also talk about being like the walking billboard for your company. So how does that kind of work together? And I guess why do you enjoy being, a bit more behind the scenes, more operational?
Yeah, I don't know. Historically, it's fun. I've been tasked with growing a company. At the same time, we enjoy kind of being a company that's not going to be. You don't see us with much of an ad buy or any marketing. Even this is slightly out of my comfort zone. This is the second one I've done.
Appreciate you.
And it was hard. It's hard for
me.
me.
Thank you.
But the truth is, it is still our job to grow it, and it's my job to make it known. So that's a balance I walk all the time.
Right.
But really, it's this doesn't have to be. I don't have to go out and tell you to go buy real estate with Asset Management Group and go do that. I would rather if what we're saying here and how we communicate works, and you reach out to me, then we're gonna meet for the right reasons,
right?
And we're gonna find business for the right reasons. And so it's finding the right things that aren't even necessarily about real estate, that aren't even necessarily about stuff, to do that. And then just like I said, I didn't understand that the teacher ministry background of just you need to know so and so was a business that I was doing that all the time as a teacher. And
right.
Zach looked at me and said, "You're gonna do the exact same thing, only they're gonna say Jared, who works at AMG, and my company is going to get elevated because you were just living your life."
Right.
And it was like, okay, deal, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, we always do this first down, sack, and Hail Mary. We like to correlate it to business. First down is going to be a recent success that maybe led to more sequential success. Sack or botched snap, just something like a minor setback hurdle that you've had. And then a Hail Mary, Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill style lofty goal that you have for yourself with AMG. So we'll start with the first down.
Yeah, first down, I would say we're as a company changing some processes, and we're putting them into play right now. And so it looks minuscule, but man, it could be huge. And it's that it could change the way we do everything.
Wow.
And it's a small administrative change.
Yeah.
Is how we handle our capital stack, and it's a big chain mover for us, and it's going to be. No one else is going to look at it, and it's like as a coach, you watch a play, and that changed the game.
Yeah.
Like this could change the game for us, and we're rolling it out this week.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah.
What about a minor setback, sack, something along those lines?
The 1st of August was the biggest setback I've had in my 3-year career in real estate, and we took a big sack and we had a bunch in the pipeline, and it all died in a 7-day window.
Oh wow!
And not for any terrible forecast of the market's this. For multiple different reasons. 3 big deals, all died for very normal reasons, but they all happened in a short amount of time.
The timing.
But you know what? When that happens, you get a little desperate, and you work a little harder than you worked in the past. And you'd like to think that you don't rest on, you don't get lazy, but I think I had. And by the end of August, I'm very thankful for that sack.
Sure. Woke you up a little bit.
You got to learn from it.
Yeah. Yep. Hail Mary, lofty goal. I know you're 3 years in, but you got to have something out there.
I would say continuing to replicate AMG or myself as we grow. So the lofty goal is that I am less of this face and I am more directing faces or doing a better job of directing the faces I have. I've got this team of 2, and really I just need to develop them more. That's my lofty goal. I don't slow down well enough to do that.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, my dad always says the best leaders are the ones that continually look to replace themselves so they can focus their energy elsewhere. So best of luck on that moving forward. Sounds like you've already got a good start with it. But yeah, I appreciate all that insight, but it's time to chop it up.
Let's
So,
go.
So the Chiefs moved to 4-1 again after a tough loss to the Raiders on Sunday. I mean, I think it just looked like the Raiders wanted it more than we did. Yeah. But Jared, we always give the guests the first take on this show every week. So with that, the time's yours.
The stock answer is easy. It's the NFL. Anyone can win any Sunday. But the truth is, and trust me, it pains me to say this, but the more I watched it, and I rewatch it because I rewatch games, the Raiders, John Gruden gets the job because he got the job. Derek Carr, they're still the top 32 to ever be at their spots.
Right.
At that moment. And they're really good. And the Raiders schemed us really well. Derek Carr made 1 million calls at the line. You could see it. Steve Spagnuolo had said the week before that, they do a good job of making you tip your hand. And they did. Yeah. They made us tip our hand, and they did some stuff And it was really fun to watch. Like, the chess match of football
Sure.
is really fun. And so it was a butt whooping where I was like, oh, that's pretty impressive. Like you're getting your butt whooped, but you're like, that's pretty cool that you did that. And so, yeah, we didn't catch some breaks. And really, we've been catching breaks. It's not like we've been dominating the previous few weeks.
Yeah.
Correct.
We were catching the right breaks. So we didn't catch the right breaks. And an NFL team did what an NFL team's supposed to do. And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It happens.
I heard something. Somebody goes, John Gruden Andy'd or redid Spags. He just looked at the schemes. He brought out packages that, had a one high safety, right? Where we got beat deep by Renfro once. We got beat deep by Nelson Aguilar.
Yep.
Come on. What are we doing? So Tyrann Mathieu.
I think, 5 plays over 40 yards?
Yeah,
Something like that. Crazy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, 40 plus.
Yeah. So I guess that gets us into our first headline of the week, the defensive woes. They're just very evident. 40 points, 490 yards allowed after a week where we were just bragging on the defense. Like it was going to be, top 5 in the league. We only had 1 sack all game. The defensive line just didn't show out like they typically do. Just not a good showing.
Well, and then the penalties, right? We beat ourselves with Osemele before he got injured. He had a holding call on a Tyreek Hill touchdown
what a pass, though.
Yeah, it was
oh
a
my
beautiful
gosh.
pass,
Yeah.
and it's like, what could have been,
Schwartz, I'm always going to say the wrong one, the one who's an announcer now or an analyst. But he had a really cool piece. I couldn't put it to words. Amazing when guys who are way better at you. But he had a really cool thing yesterday about the combination of protection problems that our O-line doesn't protect sometimes, but Patrick Mahomes is constantly moving the pocket and how impossible it would be to protect. And it's like you're never going to turn around and tell the guy who creates, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't ever know where he is. And
needs to
so,
climb the pocket,
and
right?
it's a really, God, what a hard job. I mean, and these guys are doing it at a rate and a pace.
Yeah.
I love to marvel at what they're doing because they're doing something ridiculous.
Yeah, the line with Osemele out for the rest of the season, having torn tendons in both of his knees, heart goes out to him. But then also LDT out with fighting COVID in Canada. It's really starting to show that line isn't as strong as it was last year. Hopefully, Remmers can step up in their absence and do some damage. But we'll see moving forward.
Continue hats off to Veach. Like I have a lot of love affairs with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Veach is pretty awesome. The stuff that. Yeah. The people that we pull up and how we pull people up is it's super exciting. That's what makes me feel like we can do it for a long time.
Not to mention he's a cap wizard, right?
Yeah, he's so fun. And this is coming from the dude who famously was very sad that we drafted Patrick Mahomes and I wanted Deshaun Watson. And I'm so glad how wrong I was. Yeah. There's a video of me sad drinking and saying, feels like Todd Blackledge. And anytime Patrick Mahomes makes a play, it gets sent to me. Yeah. But you know what? It's cool. I love being that wrong.
Right. It's a good thing to eat your words after that, right?
Yeah.
My gosh.
That loss snapped our franchise record, 13 straight game-winning streak. Mahomes is now 13-2 against the AFC West on the bright side, I think that dominance will continue. They just caught us on an off day. That's the first time in an NFL record 40 starts to his career to lose by more than 7 points as well. Another cool stat that I found, Travis Kelce, for as much crap as he gets for not being a blocking tight end, is now Pro Football Focus's top-rated blocking tight end this year.
Take that, Kittle.
Yeah, and he's also now the Chiefs' second leading receiver in receptions in Chiefs history. So, and then the other thing is that I want to bring up, the season isn't won after Game 5, and I know BJ has emphasized that a couple of times. I've seen that on Twitter, but the Chiefs started 4-0 last year as well, lost in Week 5 to the Colts, and then they also lost in Week 6 to the Texans. And so we'll get into our Bills preview here. I'm kind of worried about this game too. But again, it's not decided in Week 5 or Week 6. So hopefully we can turn things around, but it's on to Buffalo.
Injuries, right? So we got out with just 2. Osemele, which we've discussed, and then Watkins, the hamstring. So probably 2-3 weeks on that, I would think. So DeMarcus
That's what
Robinson.
It was last year. It was 2-3 weeks. So.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, if he could get a full year healthy, what he could do. But we need DeMarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman. It's going to be their time to shine. So we'll talk a little bit more moving forward.
But Jared, we know that you're a big old fantasy guru, just like us. So definitely wanted to spend some time on this segment, kind of talking to you about you're in 3 leagues, 2 dynasty leagues and 1 regular. How are your teams doing this year, and what do you like in Week 6?
Yeah, I'm in good shape in all three leagues. I'm very much looking like a strong playoff contention, top third, top three on all my leagues at the moment. It's a lot of fun. First of all, I love just being around people, and dynasty is just a reason, or any league is just a reason to talk crap on your friends and family. And so I have 2 dynasty leagues, one with college buddies, one with neighborhood buddies, and then I have a fantasy league with my family, and it's set up by my son, and the winner just gets to take him to dinner. And so, but that's my family talking trash, and
That's awesome.
I love it, and it's an excuse to exchange. But teams are doing well. Dynasty, you get a little nerdy. I got like a proud Papa Bear moment on one team because I drafted a bunch of guys a couple years ago, and the other one I've got to decide if I'm gonna continue to play them or if I'm gonna start trading them off and selling them off because I'm tired of not getting over the hump. So
Sure. Do you have any players that you recommend starting or sitting off the top?
So I'm a huge coordinator matchup person. So I love, for example, I love Bruce Arians. And so when Tom Brady came to Bruce Arians, I was a little confused because Tom Brady's old, needs to be protected a little bit. And Bruce Arians kind of famous for getting quarterbacks destroyed with the 7-step drop. Yeah. And I love him for it. And so I've been anxious to see how that works out, but it's working. Right now, like next week, David Montgomery. So I love David Montgomery. I love any running back in any Andy Reid coaching tree. So you got Miles Saunders, you got David Montgomery. And then this week he's playing Carolina. They're the worst defense. Rush defense. So David Montgomery all day. And then the weird sit, I would say, and I'm struggling with it right now because next week the Seahawks aren't playing, and who else isn't playing?
Saints,
the Raiders,
Chargers,
and
Raiders.
So that I mean, I've got a ton of Seahawks and Raiders. DK and Russell and all that, and all these leagues. But Kareem Hunt, as good, with Chubb out, Kareem Hunt, but Pittsburgh's run defense is good.
That's a good point.
And their pass offense looks good, and Cleveland's pass offense is bad, and so that does not sound like Cleveland's going to be running the ball much.
Right.
Sounds like Cleveland's going to be paying catch up. So
yeah, we're going to find out a lot about the Browns. I don't really think they're as good as everyone else does, but we'll find out. I think
what about you
Pittsburgh's
guys?
The real deal.
All right, so after last night, start every single Chargers receiver known to man. So Justin Herbert is a beast. I had Keenan Allen. Luckily, I have Mike Williams on the bench, so I will definitely be starting him next week, depending on the injury, and maybe start both. Who knows after last night? So that's going to be my start. I believe Williams ended up grabbing 27.9 points from the bench.
Yep, on my bench too.
109 yards, 2 touchdowns after Keenan already had 11 points with the touchdown and a few receptions. So definitely start any Chargers receivers moving forward. I'm also going to go with Michael Gallup. He hasn't appeared this year at all. Rest in peace, not rest in peace, Dak, but your ankle. I know the tweets are going out. Everybody's saying, "Oh, he's done for good. Can he come back?" Well,
he'll come back.
He will.
If Alex Smith can make it back, I think Dak can make it back.
Andy Dalton, Red Rocket, came in and he threw a 19-yard pass and a 38-yard pass to help set up a game-winning field goal to Michael Gallup. So he's going to go back through the progressions. I think Gallup will reemerge in this offense since he's been forgotten about from CeeDee Lamb. Start him this week. I do believe he will score some points. Sit all Ravens running backs. They don't know who they are. Unfortunately, with Lamar Jackson taking a lot of the runs himself, with J.K. Dobbins sharing with Ingram, I don't believe anybody's scored more than 10 points the last couple weeks. And then the highest scoring running back from their team was Ingram, which you wouldn't expect, at 15. And he hasn't reproduced, and Dobbins has not got back to that level either.
I think he had a couple touchdowns that week, too.
Yeah, exactly. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it feels very New England. Now, New England, someone goes off. You never know who.
Yes.
With the Ravens, it's just spread out.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And then quick plug and play. If this has happened to you, if you didn't create a second tight end on your bench, I have Darren Waller. He's out this week. Eric Ebron's available, I think, in 30. He's only rostered in 37% of leagues. So you can grab Ebron. He's being looked at a lot by Big Ben. Could be a good plug and play for the week.
Yeah. Speaking of waiver wire additions, a quarterback that I had on my watch list a couple weeks ago, Justin Herbert, he's been going off. So if you could have a chance to pick him up, I would definitely stash him or even start him. I mean, he's been playing well. Again, he had 4 touchdowns against the Saints. And then Alexander Madison for the Vikings, if he's still on your waiver wire, go ahead and pick him up as well. If Dalvin Cook misses any time, he's going to be a must start. I mean, I forget who they were playing, but he was just running all over whoever they were playing. I can't remember off the top of my head now. No, there was the Seahawks. Yeah, in that Sunday night game, yeah, he just came in and he was a beast. And then Chase Claypool, I went and looked last night. He was available in all 4 of my leagues, so he went off for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Steelers, who are playing the Browns next week. So it could be a good matchup there as well.
I'm the commissioner in my family league, and in the second quarter of this Pittsburgh game, I got a waiver wire request from my son for Chase Claypool. And I was like, can't do it again, buddy.
Yeah. How old's your son again?
9.
9, that's amazing.
I was like, Buzz, I was like, no, I can't do that right now.
Well, yeah, let's look ahead to week 6 against the Bills. I mean, the 2020 schedule has been pretty chaotic so far, but it actually seems like the Chiefs have been benefiting from this, getting an extra primetime game as well. And, we were supposed to play originally 3 games in 10 days, but now it looks like the Bills are going to be the one playing on the short schedule. And anytime you give Andy Reid a couple extra days to prepare,
love to see it.
yeah, it's always a good take. So, Jared, what are your thoughts, first take of this game?
So it was funny because in preparing for you guys, I was listening to other guys and listened to Josh talk about he loves the Patriot. He loved the Patriots. I quietly, where he likes to watch greatness, I like to watch like really cool guys who are changing culture and doing stuff. And so I've been a McDermott fan.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen actually, I coached a kid who was an O-lineman for Josh Allen, and we went to watch him, and we would watch college film, and we were all watching Josh, and we were like, this kid's ridiculous. And so then when he hits the draft and everyone sees, it's like, so I've quietly been a Josh Allen. So when they got matched up, the Bills have been my second place team. So this is fun for me to watch. Josh Allen's ridiculous, and he's a lot of fun. And if you watch Gridiron Heights, they make fun of him so hard, and I love it because he doesn't know what he's doing yet. It works out, and that's so fun to watch. I think you're going to see us come back to life a lot in a lot of ways, and not because we've done that bad, but I just think it's motivation when at home when you lose like that, and really nothing really goes your way. I think. And they were already a focused team. I don't think the Chiefs were unfocused. I just think it's the NFL.
Right.
But
the parity, right?
I would not want to play the Chiefs after that loss.
Right. Sure.
So that's my, so as much as I like the Bills, I feel bad for them in the matchup. Short week.
Yep.
Coming up against us after that loss.
Yeah, I think the first thing I said after we started to lose that game was like, at least this whole BS undefeated narrative goes away so we can just focus on one game at a time moving forward. I just can't stand the undefeated narrative. I think it's dumb. I don't think any team's going to do it. I mean, if any team had a chance to do it, I think it was us. But again, focus on one game at a time and just get those BS storylines out of the window. So, yeah.
Go ahead and take a half day off on Monday as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're starting at 4 p.m. football on Monday. It's a doubleheader, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be awesome.
I actually need to check my calendar.
Yeah. Don't schedule any meetings late in the day.
No coffees, no nothing. So it'll be exciting. But as far as keys to victory, I like to focus on 3 each week. We have to eliminate big plays. Number 1, Derek Carr, we mentioned earlier, he hit 4 40-plus yard passes. He hit 6 over 20. Yeah. That's 6 too many. I mean, we haven't had a team really beat us deep like that at all this year, and last year not very often either. So eliminate the big plays on defense. That's probably some simple fixes I would hope in the film room.
You got a big arm and you got speed in the Bills.
Yep.
That's true.
You've got 2 great receivers and a big arm. So it'll be fun to see.
Got to eliminate those. We got to figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
And so that's key number 1. Number 2, O-line consistency. Assumingly being out, I think Remmers came in. So getting those guys to gel quickly, I think the chemistry's already there. So that shouldn't be an issue. We talked about Pat climbing the pocket with that O-line, and then no holding. So those are going to be all along the O-line as well as the quarterback. So make sure that's going to be your key to victory number 2. And then 3rd, prepare and execute with this extra time we have. Take advantage of it. You've already hit on that point, and I'm just going to drive it home. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid will get these guys ready, and I do believe the first 10, 15 scripted plays are going to look phenomenal. And then from defense perspective, you're going to have Spags dialing them up, getting after the quarterback.
There's no one scarier with extra time than Andy Reid.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I mean, I think, to me, the way the defense played, this is shaping up to be, in my opinion, the Rams-Chiefs game from 2018.
Ooh, all right.
I could see this being a
comparison.
shootout because Josh Allen, he's got 1,300 yards. He's on pace for 5,300 yards and 48 touchdowns this year. Sounds a lot like Patrick Mahomes in 2018 to me. He's got 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. So we'll see. He's got to play the Titans tonight. So we'll see, how the storylines change. But if he comes out and he handles that D well, watch out because I think this could be a big shootout. But Jared, what are your offensive and defensive players to watch for this game?
I'll go defensive first, and he's my love affair since the minute we picked him up, and it's Frank Clark.
Love it.
So I love Frank Clark because he is a crazed human being.
Oh yeah.
He is a technical genius. Like, I mean, seriously. And then he is a great teammate. There's a lot, like my son likes to yell at the screen, and lots of times he'll yell at Frank when Frank's on the edge, and then Frank jumps inside. And it's like there's lots of times that he's not chasing statistics, and he's doing his job in a ridiculous way that the previous 5-5 drove me nuts. From the minute no one drew my ire more from the minute he was drafted until he left than D Ford. So I love Frank Clark with all of my heart. There's no adult man that I would want to find in this world and give a hug and tell how much I love you. I love Frank Clark.
He has some phenomenal quotes too, right?
Oh God, I love him. And to be honest, I saw this artwork that I bought from I got a new man cave that it's Frank Clark. It's some artwork, and then it's Travis Kelce's Super Bowl parade speech.
Yeah.
My dog 5'5", Mr. Never Offside, Mother Clark, and it's drawn in like graffiti behind him. I'm like, yes,
that's awesome.
he is.
I gotta see that.
He is my dog 5. Like I love that guy so much.
Agreed.
So I'll always watch him, and I think he's the defensive line. For whatever reason, we didn't see a lot of him. I mean, I really basically stare at him every play because I love to watch him. And then offensively, I think it's going to be that second wide receiver spot. It's going to be the Mecole, the DeMarcus, the Byron Pringle. It's going to be any of those guys. And really, they're going to get schemed into some fun stuff.
Sure.
Not too worried about it. But what I want to see is who. So I guess which receiver takes the Sammy spot, because Sammy's the chain mover. I mean, along with Kelsey.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sammy's great, and he gets a lot of hate from people who see his contract and don't see. So it's like Sammy's very critical.
Correct.
And we felt that when he was gone.
No, I agree, and this is going to be a little cliche, but Showtime. So MAF, Monday Afternoon Football. You're going to get him. You're going to get him coming back. I want to see another. You ranked me 4 touchdowns. No, wait, you ranked me 4th in the top 100.
Not 4th down. Exactly. Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was hilarious. So he's going to come alive. He's going to do what needs to be done and get back to the Pat we know and love. And so I'm excited to watch him on offense. Defense, Chris Jones. Frank Clark's duo, his tag team, his buddy. He tweeted out that he's going to be better and he will make this defense better next week. So you be watching Frank Clark, I'll be watching Chris Jones.
Yeah. And for me, I had Mecole Hardman in the absence of Sammy Watkins. He's been getting – someone tweeted out not too long ago, or I think it was last week, about him being the next DeAnthony Thomas for us, a gadget player, special teams guy. And I don't think you're really going to see his impact with Sammy in front of him until – we end up moving on from him. But, I mean, this is his chance to step up and show us what he can really do and whether or not he's going to be a staple of our offense moving forward. I still believe in him wholeheartedly. Absolutely. I think he's an amazing receiver, but he's been getting a lot of hate. So I think this could be a coming-out game for Mecole.
Yep.
And, again, if he's available on any fantasy wires, pick him up. And then for defense, for me, it's Honey Badger. It's Tyrann Mathieu. There was one tackle that he was kind of like backing off of, and it was on that running when they got a first down. I forget who I think it was Josh Jacobs running the ball, but I just didn't really see the intensity as much. And if he was pissed off after week 1 and week 2 and week 3 about how they were playing and they were still holding teams to 12 points a game, I wonder how pissed off he is after that showing, because it was pretty poor. And so he's got to bring the intensity as the leader of the D along with Frank Clark. So I really hope he steps up in week 6. So Jared, let's get into score predictions. What are you thinking?
I'm going to go kind of your style, but I think our defense steps up too. I think it's 40-24. I think you're going to see us hang a lot, because it's one thing you haven't seen us do. Really, we have in unique ways, but where we just come out and shell like we did for a half against the Ravens.
Yeah, sure.
I think we come out and shell them. As much as I'm enjoying McDermott, I think we come out and shell them. So 40-24.
All right.
Lucas, what are you thinking?
We're going to get over 30 points, 34-28. Will be a shootout. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. Maybe a Pat Mahomes 2-minute drill at the end, but it's going to be a close one. Chiefs.
I'm going to go 41-34, kind of in line with the shootout as well. I don't know if the defense turns it around against this offense, but I think it'll be a good smack in the mouth again. Again, last year we lost to the Texans at home in week 6. So, the season isn't won early in the season. But again, I would rather the defense get exposed early on so we can learn from it and adjust moving forward like we did last year.
Yep.
So again, I think this will be another big game. There's no line out for the game right now. We're recording this on Tuesday, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm assuming the Chiefs might be just maybe 3-point favorites.
I could see that.
Yeah. And then so we'll see how that goes. But overall on the season, I don't know if we're very good at predicting these scores. But Lucas, you were plus 29 last week, plus 85 overall. I was plus 22, plus 89 overall. And the women killed it last week. They were plus 22 overall. And then the guests on a whole are leading the pack with 72 points. So
We still need to come up with a last place bet on this.
yeah, we'll figure that out. We need to set a time to do that because
Yes,
we need to do that. But that does it for week 6, Talkin' Shop. If you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music, make sure to follow along all season as we have some of Kansas City's top leaders like Jared and personalities as well joining us every week. Jared, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
with
Jared.
us.
It was
this
a blast.
week.
Appreciate it.
Always a good time. But yeah, we'll catch y'all next week. And as always,
Go Chiefs.